This
recording
conference
thing, right?
will now be recorded.
There you go. Now I can hear it.
So
I
this
don't
is,
think Meet will record, which is something I'm a bit upset about. We neither of it did.
yeah, that's unfortunate, but
Yeah.
this does. And so this is how I do it. So first thing we want to do is, let's say we have an image, we want to get a new image. Let's say we want to add an image to the header. Well, we have to add the image ideally to the media library. Well, let's see. Before we do that, we have to figure out, well, what size image are we? So we're going to add an image to the group that's in the header, right? So
Right.
I know
So choose one of them.
I
There
know
you
that
go.
that's a header image.
Right. So if you go off to the right, does it show it?
Yep, and up in the dimensions for that image are 1800 by 640. You see it right there?
Yep. Yep.
So I know I need an image that's going to be that size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Photoshop, create new, and right under the preset details, I'm going to put 1800 pixels wide and 640 tall. Orientation is landscape. Resolution for web, 72 pixels per inch is fine. Leave everything as it is. And so now we have a template that we can, not only for this image, but we could use this for hundreds of header images if you wanted to. You can use this Photoshop file and keep it. And basically what you do is you create layers. So I'm going to leave, this is the base layer. I'm going to leave that alone, although you could use it if you wanted to. We're going to add a new layer. New layer, and we're going to call this rotary. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up that image. I'm going to open it up in Photoshop. I'm going to find it. It's in my downloads, wherever you put it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a select all. So on a Mac, it's Command A.
Yep.
And then Command C to copy it. And then I'm going to go into my new Photoshop file. I'm going to make sure that I have the rotary layer selected, not layer one. And I'm just going to paste it in there.
So you don't import it, you copy and paste it in.
There's a few ways you can do it. And so this image, as we could see, we're going to have an issue with it because it's not wide enough.
Well, couldn't you zoom in on it and make it wider?
So we can do a few things. We can go to image. Is it under edit? Yeah, it's under edit. Edit, transform, scale. And then you can.
Yeah, there you go.
You can drag. Now let's say you didn't like that and you wanted whatever was in the frame.
Well, no, but suppose you did like that. You just save that. It'll just save the
it'll save it
the image, and you've got it because it's inside your set, your template, right?
It's inside there, and so we know it's the right size. So now what I can do is we go to save as. No, I don't want to. Well, that's how we'll save the Photoshop file in a second. We're going to go to export. This is something you have to be careful of with Photoshop. It's going to give you, it's going to want you to export it as a PNG, which we would use for vector images like logos and things like that, but not for for an image like this. We want to go to export as, and then we want to change the format to JPEG. Quality 100, that's fine. You could probably get away with 80 to crop the size down. Keep your size a little bit smaller. Everything else, you just leave the defaults. It's how basically the compression of the image and all that for that algorithm. And then here we're going to just call it rotary. Save it on the desktop. We're going to export it, but we're not done yet because we want to save this. We want to reuse this Photoshop file, right? Just for other images. You just add layers as you go, and you can export.
You could have a picture. You could have a file with a bunch of different pictures on different layers.
That's right, exactly. So you want to save this as, you could call it whatever you want,
So
really.
so you're saving the template here or the picture?
Both. It's basically, think of this as like a project file.
Right, right. But a minute ago you exported just that layer, right?
Right. I exported that photo in a specific file format. And notice here, I'm saving this as a Photoshop format, which you want because this is your Photoshop project. You want to save it as a Photoshop project, which is the
Right,
default, by the way, and then just save it. But so this whole thing, the layers and the all the images, that's inside this Photoshop project. So you have, and so basically what you're looking at here is you're looking at the raw image basically, which can be manipulated in any way you want for export. So you would have to just, so whatever layer you have, that's a good question though, like whatever layer that you have, whatever layer is active is the layer you're going to export, right? So
right.
make sure that
And that's what you're going to put in your site.
right. So make sure that you have the image, the layer that you want to export highlighted. You'll know because you'll be seeing it on the screen unless there's something
Right.
strange going on. And anyway, so and so now you can keep this file and you can just add more layers as you get more images and you can play with it that way. And so then what we do, we're just going to add it to the media library. Um, Add new. There's a lot of ways you can do it. You can drag and drop too, but yes.
So then that picture will upload properly. That's the big point though, right?
Yeah, we'll test it. So now that it's in my media library, I can go to appearance, customize, header image, add new
See,
image.
so this is interesting. This is a quick way to put it into the media library.
Yeah,
So you should technically put them all in the media library, then add them to them.
that's what I do. Yeah.
But you can actually do it right from that customization screen.
Yeah.
If you have it right.
And I'm just going through all the steps. You always want it with an image. You want to give it, a description, make that an alt text, sorry, and then use that same alt text in your description. Select and crop. We're going to skip cropping. Um, and then there you go.
Yep. So I did that on the very first time I did it, and it worked fine. I happen to have an image that it was able to work with.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, there's a question here I have for you. If you look at that screen, there's two kinds of things. Randomize that when you're pressing, and there's another one
Mm-hmm.
below it. You know what the difference is?
This is the default image that came with the template that we created. So you can select one image to be the image which
Yeah.
would be on all the pages. It doesn't randomize at all. Um, so for example, if you click on this suggested, then it's going to,
Can you add or change that one at the bottom?
yeah, you could click on any one of these and that'll become your featured image. This is just a suggested. It doesn't mean you have to use it. It's just,
Oh, I see. So if you don't click randomize, then it chooses whichever one you click on.
right.
And away you go. Cool.
And so that image, for example, um, that image should be.
Yeah, so I think if you save this recording and put it on the site under image, it'd be good because I think people would like to know about it.
Okay. And notice
Because
I'll
what's
do
neat
that.
about this process is you can get your own club in there, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
you're
that's the
doing
whole
some
point.
event. I mean, there probably should be some guidelines from us as to what the picture should show, right?
Right. You want it to be so is kind of on brand with Kiwanis, but that's not hard to do.
Well, but these pictures are all very big. You know, you got kids' faces, you've got they're big images like this one right here, kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although you got to be careful about getting people signed off on it.
Right, right. Especially if there's kids in the
That's
picture.
a sub issue.
Yeah. So
Okay, this
these,
is good.
yeah.
So have you? Yeah. So you should probably stop recording.
All right.
This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.